Today we are going to be crocheting this simple beanie. So you can use any yarn of your choice and the recommended hook size. We are going to start by making a slip knot like this. You can make your slip knot however way you want it. If you don't know how to do that, you can look up videos on YouTube. Now go ahead and chain 4. We want to make a magic circle. So after we have chained 4, we want to walk into the very first stitch. So I'll remove my hook. I insert it into the first stitch right there. Then I insert my hook back into the loop. Then I'll yarn over, pull through the first loop, and then I pull through the second loop. So that hole in the middle is where we are going to be putting our stitches. That is our magic circle. So we are going to chain 2. Then we yarn over, insert our hook into that hole, pull a loop through, pull through 2, pull through the remaining 2, yarn over, insert our hook into the center, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. So we are going to put 10 double crochet stitches into this circle. The chain 2 we did at the beginning doesn't count as a stitch. So go ahead and put 10 double crochet stitches, and I will meet you when you have your 10 stitches. We are just going to slip stitch at the top of the first double crochet we did. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through that loop, and then you pull through the second loop. Then we'll go ahead and chain 2, 1, 2, and remember this doesn't count as a stitch. So in that same stitch where we did the chain 2, we are going to place a double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull a loop through, pull through 2, pull through the remaining 2, yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, pull a loop through, pull through 2, pull through 2. So we are placing 2 double crochet stitches into every stitch because we are doing an increase. So 2 double crochet stitch into every stitch till we come back to our chain 2, and at the end of this round 2 you should have 20 double crochet stitches. So just go ahead and put your 2 double crochet into every stitch, and I'll meet you at the end. We have come to the end, so we are going to slip stitch into our first double crochet, not the chain 2, our first double crochet. You're going to place a slip stitch like that. Then go ahead and chain 2, and in that same space you are going to put a double crochet since the chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. And then into the next stitch we are going to do an increase by placing 2 double crochet stitches. In the next stitch we are going to place 1 double crochet stitch. In the following stitch we are going to place 2 double crochet stitches. So this is the pattern for this row: 1 double crochet stitch in 1 stitch, and then the next stitch you do an increase by placing 2 double crochet stitches. We are going to keep working like this to come back to where we did our chain 2 at the beginning of the round. Because we are almost at the end, this is our last stitch and it's going to be an increase, so we are placing 2 double crochet stitches into that last stitch. If you normally start your row with a non-increase as we did, you are always going to end by doing an increase, and then we are going to slip stitch at the top of our first double crochet stitch, just like that, and then we'll go ahead and chain 2. At the end of this round 3 you should have 30 stitches. In that same stitch you're going to place a double crochet, which will be our first double crochet. Into the second stitch you place a double crochet. Into the third stitch we are going to do an increase by placing 2 double crochet stitches into that same stitch. So for the first stitch, it's a double crochet. Second stitch is a double crochet. In the third stitch is an increase, so we place 2 double crochet stitches, and we are going to repeat this pattern all round till we get back to our starting point. And this is me ending my row by placing 2 double crochet stitches into the last stitch, and then we are going to do a slip stitch at the top of the first double crochet stitch, not the chain 2. We are slip stitching into our first double crochet stitch. The chain 2 just acts like a filler stitch. So now we are going to chain 2. In that same stitch, we place our first double crochet stitch. In the second stitch, we place our second double crochet stitch. In the third stitch, a double crochet. Into the fourth stitch, we are going to do an increase by placing 2 double crochet stitches, and then we are going to repeat the pattern. First stitch, a double crochet. Second stitch, double crochet. Third stitch, double crochet, and then the fourth stitch is an increase, 2 double crochet stitches. So you can see how the increase is going, from increasing in the second stitch to increasing in the third stitch, and for this round now we are increasing in the fourth stitch. So this is our next round, which with our increase that is going to be in the 5th stitch. So you just go ahead and put 4 double crochet stitches, and then into the 5th stitch you do an increase by placing 2 double crochet stitches. So you repeat the same thing, 1 double crochet into the first stitch, double crochet into the second, double crochet into the third, double crochet into the fourth, and then in the 5th stitch you place 2 double crochet stitches, because we are doing an increase in the 5th stitch. You're just going to work like this till you get right to the end, where you're going to do a slip stitch right here. Do a slip stitch into the first double crochet stitch, and then we chain 2. In that same stitch we are going to place our first double crochet stitch, second double crochet stitch in the next stitch, our third stitch, fourth, 5th, and then in the 6th stitch we are going to do an increase by placing 2 double crochet stitches. If you notice, all your increases will be in a straight line if you are doing it correctly. So for this round our increase is in the 6th stitch, so you go ahead and put 5 double crochet stitches into 5 different stitches, and in the 6th stitch you do an increase by placing 2 double crochet stitches. You are just going to work like this till you come back to the end of the round, where you're going to do a slip stitch to connect that round. We have gotten to the end of our round. We are just going to slip stitch into our first double crochet to close this round. Now go ahead and chain 2, and in that same space I'm going to place my first double crochet stitch, and now place 1 double crochet stitch into the next 6 stitches, and then into the 7th stitch, that is where I'm going to do my increase by placing 2 double crochet stitches into the 7th stitch. Then I'll repeat the pattern all over again till I'll come back to my starting point. So if you're making this hat for a small size, small and medium size, you can end your increases when you have 6.5 inches for your crown. So we are at the end. Let's just go ahead and do a slip stitch and let me measure this. So this is going to give me 7.5 inches, which is okay for me. If you want a fitting hat, you should do 6.5 for a medium size hat. And we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds for the crown. Now we are going to chain 2, place our first double crochet into that very stitch that we did a chain 2, and then into every stitch we are going to place 1 double crochet stitches. Now we have started with our rows of non-increases, because we are going to be placing 1 double crochet into every stitch till we come back to our starting point, where we are going to do a slip stitch, and then we chain 2 and commence with the next round by placing our first double crochet stitch into the very stitch we did a chain 2, then 1 double crochet stitch into every stitch till we come back to our working point. We are going to do a couple of rows, just 1 double crochet stitch into every stitch till you get the length that you desire. You can measure it on your head, or you can do 7 inches. So right now I've gone ahead and done my rows of non-increases, and I have 7 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'll chain 2 or chain 1, and then in that space I'm going to place a single crochet stitch in the same stitch where I did the chain 1, and then into every stitch I'm going to place a single crochet stitch till I come back to my starting point. You can use a stitch marker to mark your very first stitch if you don't want to get confused. I'm just going to walk around till I come back to my starting point. Now I'm back at my starting point. I'm doing a slip stitch into my very first single crochet stitch. Then I'm going to chain 1. I'll cut off my yarn. Then I'm going to weave in that end. You can use a darning needle or just your crochet hook to weave in the end. So this is how my hat is looking like. That single crochet stitch gives it a little firm hold. Thank you for watching. Bye.